Fagan with Softflex Company here for Sam's Bead Shop Merry Makers Holiday Gift Making Series. And if you don't know who I am, I work with Softflex Company. We are a beading wire manufacturer. We create beading wire and craft wire. We're going to be using this gorgeous trios of colors in today's project. We've got our dark blue lapis, bone, and copper. You can find this trio over at Sam's Bead Shop, and I'm particularly drawn to this dark blue lapis color. It's one of my absolute favorites, so that's the one we're going to be doing for today's tutorial. Softflex beading wire is a really high quality stainless steel micro braided beading wire. It's flexible, it's not tying, it's really juicy and luscious. We've been around a really long time. We're a small business and we just really love sharing tutorials, sharing lots of ideas on how to make things with our jewelry and our craft wire products. And we're so excited that Sam's Bead Shop has invited us to participate in this holiday making series. I'm going to be sharing a 2-strand button closure clasp bracelet tutorial with all of you. We've got 2 different colorways here. They have been created with the Sam's Beadbox December 2024 box, and I have this one, which is the first one I did for colorway inspiration, and then I have this beautiful, really rich blue and brown colorway that we're actually going to do together on the video. They both use the same technique, same layout of sorts, and I'm excited to share this with you. So I hope you'll join me, and if you missed any other videos in this series, check out Sam's Bead Shop YouTube channel. They're all going to be there. I know there's been lots and lots of wonderful things shared, so you're not going to want to miss it. If you want to see all of the things happening, check out Sam's Bead Shop's YouTube channel, and you can find all of the details there. And all of the products I'm sharing with you today, the links can be found in the description. So let's get holiday gift making. So let's go over some materials and tools we'll be using. Here is our 2-strand button bracelet design we're going to do together with some of the other beads in this collection. We'll be doing it in a similar layout, but with some different beads. So we've got this button that we'll be using. We've got these beautiful 4 coin beads, which is half of what was included in the kit. I used the first 4 in here. Got these lovely rondelles that are a smoky quartz color, and a few gold seed beads that were in the strand with the coins. Here in the center is your fire polish faceted round winter mix, and it's all these colors plus you have this beautiful tanzanite blue in there that I've already used. So you've got some dark blue, some dark brown, and then these really pretty clear with a copper core. Here we have some lovely dark blue glass spacer beads, little saucers. And last but not least, we have had a very long strand. I cut it down, so you'll see I have a pile here and some of these leftover of these Czech glass shaped dark blue beads. There's these beautiful seed bead mixes, these winter mixes, in 2 different sizes, the smaller size 11 and the larger, which I think is a size 8. Again, all the links for all of these beads to purchase are going to be in the description of the video. And then for tools, I've got a pair of flush cutters and a pair of magical crimping pliers. You're just going to need some crimping pliers that crimp 2 by 2 millimeter crimp tubes. I'll be using Softlex Company 2 by 2 sterling silver crimp tubes in this project. You'll need to have 3 of those. And I have a pair of bead stoppers to help along with my designing. Last but certainly not least, I will be using Softlex beading wire, and I'm going to be using the dark blue lapis color. And here is a lovely trio that you can find over at Sam's Bead Shop while supplies last, that has the dark blue lapis, the bone, and the copper Softlex beading wire. It's our medium diameter, 0.019. You get 10 feet of each in that trios. And yeah, I'll be using the dark blue lapis today, which is one of my all-time favorites. All right, so now we have a simple layout of the beads that I plan to use, and in their order approximately, for our beaded bracelet. We're gonna cut ourselves 2 feet, 24 inches of the Softlex dark blue lapis beading wire. And then you're gonna go ahead and from the small mix, we're gonna pull out 35 of the brown colored seed beads and string them into the center of your beading wire. This is going to be your loop that's going to attach to your button. And I went with brown for the contrast with the bright blue and white button we've got here. But you can choose a different color if you'd like. I used clear on the first bracelet. There's also a light blue in there, the dark blue. You can mix it and just do a mixture. And then you're going to find your center. So you're going to bring those two ends together and let those beads go into the center. And I'm going to string on my crimp. Pull it down towards my beads, and that will create my loop. And then I'm going to check that fits around my button. So I've got 35 beads on here, and when I check that fits really well. You want to make sure you have enough space that once you crimp, it's still going to fit, because when you crimp, it will cinch it down just a little bit more. Before I crimp, I'm also going to check and make sure that my wires are even at the back, and I'm going to go ahead and pull. I'm going to go ahead and place that crimp tube right in the center, but I'm going to pull it away from the beads just a smidge, because you don't want to crack your seed beads. So when you feel like you're in a good spot, you're not going to crack any of your seed beads, you've got that crimp tube right in the center notch, you're going to give it a good squeeze like a firm handshake. It'll pinch all 4 corners of that crimp tube. Go ahead and turn it on its side, 90 degrees, and squeeze again. And then I'm going to rotate around a few more times. rolling that crimp tube in that notch and squeezing till it's nice and secure and well-rounded. So now that we've got our loop end, you'll see we have 2 wires of soft flex coming out, and those will be our 2 strands we're going to string up next. So I'm going to start with the top strand here, and I've got 3 small dark blue seed beads from the mix. And then I'm going to add in one of those rondelles, and I'm going to add one of these dark blue saucers between. And I'm going to do that till I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rondelles and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 saucers. Okay, next up are those larger fire polish from the mix. And you'll see I've got 4 of that size here and 4 of that size here, and then 2 on this side. So I have set it up to be, instead of all one color, I broke it up into 2 colors just so I had enough of that particular one. So we've got the clear with the copper, and then we've also got one of those saucer beads in between them. So we'll put on 1 fire polish and a saucer, and we'll repeat that 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll end with a saucer. After we have those 4 on there, there's our pattern so far. And next up, you'll see we have 3 of those coin beads with, again, those saucers in between. So we'll do those next. And we'll end with a saucer. And then our pattern moves into those rondelles again. So we've got 1, 2, 3 rondelles with a saucer in between. There's 1. There's that saucer I dropped. We've got a jumping rondelle. Okay, 1, 2, 3, yes. And then we move into those last 4 there with a saucer in between. Last 4 of those fire polish. I have 2 clear with the copper first, and then I did 2 brown. Oop, I put 2 together, even though that looks pretty cute. That wasn't part of my original plan. Now you can do these, now that I'm saying that, you can do these however you want. You don't have to follow my pattern. You can do your own pattern. You can change up your beads. And then in the end, we just have 1 more saucer. And that is the end of my first strand. I'm gonna go ahead and put a bead stopper on there so I don't lose any of my beads. And I'll show you where we're at. Isn't that pretty? All right, we've got our first strand finished here. You'll see on this top one with the other colors, which is another option you could do. Here's our pattern so far. And we're gonna go ahead and now do our second strand, which our second strand is gonna have 7 of these larger seed beads from the bead mix in the brown color. So string on those 7. And then we'll string on one of these blue glass beads. Little diamond shaped glass bead. And then we'll do 7 more of these seed beads. Another glass diamond bead. Another glass diamond bead. One more brown seed bead. And then you'll see here we've got one of those saucers. So go back and grab one of those blue saucer beads. And then we've got our coin. And then we've got another saucer. And now we've got 2 fire polish with a saucer in between, and I'm going with the clear with the copper lining. 2 of those in a row. 1 more saucer bead. And now I'm gonna do 7 more seed beads. So I'm gonna do that dark brown again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've got 1 of those diamonds. And then I've got 1 brown seed bead. One diamond, 1 brown seed bead again, 1 diamond, And it looks like we've got one more brown seed bead. And next we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those rondelles with the saucer in between. We'll do one. It up a little so you can see where I'm at. Four. And 5. And now we're gonna end it. Let's see where we're at here. So if we push those beads up to my loop, you'll see you have just a bit of space left. So we're gonna end it with these seed beads in the brown once again. 3, 4, 5. Let's see where they line up. 6 of those to line that up. Okay, our final step is to crimp these strands to our button. Let's see how we have it here. We have the both strands. Each of them is crimped with that crimp tube and the magical crimping plier, the loop onto that button. And if you want to check, now is a good time to do a fit check. Put on some bead stoppers on your 2 strands, and then you can see how that is all fitting on your wrist and if anything needs to be adjusted. I can give you an example from this crimp to my button on my first bracelet is 6.5, and from this one to here is also showing at 6.5. All right, now that we're ready to crimp, I'm gonna go ahead and grab my crimping plier. This is the magical crimping pliers. It's good for the 2x2mm crimp tubes. And I have a pair of flush cutters to cut my beading wire. So I'm gonna take one of the bead stoppers off. I'm gonna grab that 2x2mm crimp tube, sterling silver from Softlex Company. Our crimp tubes are double the wall thickness of most on the market. They're also seamless. You're gonna go ahead and slide on your button onto your beading wire, and then you'll make a loop and bring the wire back down through the crimp and pull that tight to where you want it. You're gonna wanna make sure that your bracelet loops around okay and isn't too stiff. You might have to make a little bit of an adjustment and give yourself a little extra space between that last bead and the crimp. The other nice thing about doing that is making sure that you don't end up crushing your glass bead next to the magical crimping plier. You want a little bit of space so that when you go to crimp down on that crimp, you don't accidentally smash that glass bead. So you're gonna do your first squeeze, and what it'll do is give you 4 pinched corners. Then you'll place that little ravioli back back into the magical crimping pliers 90 degrees from where it was the first time, and then you're gonna go ahead and squeeze again, and then I'm gonna rotate a few more times, rolling that crimp in the notch, making sure not to let it come out of the notch and smash my crimp at all. And then I'll use my flush cutters to trim away that beading wire right at the crimp. Now we'll do strand number 2, and you're just gonna wanna make sure, in some designs you might want them to cross over. In this design I was keeping them straight, so just want to line these back up so they're nice and straight, and make sure you crimp on the side of the button that is facing here, so this way you're not overlapping it too much. So I'm going to go onto the left side of that button, loop, and put my wire through. Take my wire back down into the crimp tube to create my secondary loop here. Just like so. And again, just do a little test, make sure it curls up nicely. Looking good. And then I'm gonna go ahead and place that crimp in the center notch and just slightly pull it away from those beads again so that I have a little bit extra space there. Go ahead and give it a good squeeze. Turn it 90 degrees. And then rotate it around a few more times. Once again, go ahead and trim off the excess. I'm using the flat side of my flush cutter to get right up next to that crimp tube. Be careful not to trim your beaded wire, and you are all set. Got yourself a gorgeous 2-strand bracelet with a button loop closure. That is colorway number 2, and then here was colorway number 1. You can do both with this mix and still have a bunch left over. Let's go ahead and put it on. So what you'll do is you'll just put your bracelet on, slide that loop over your button, and that will clasp it for you. And then this can be, look how pretty that is. It's a focal just by itself, or you can have it move to the back, and there's your front. Do that again, slide that on, and now you could double up. These are so fun. I love button closures because they're just so easy to put on and take off. Look at how simple that is. Thanks for spending time with me. For the Merry Makers, I hope you really enjoyed this project, and I can't wait to see your creations.